characteristics that I would focus on when finding new contractors is they have to actually do good work, right? So if you find someone who does really good work, most of the time they're too expensive. You got to find somebody that's like priced well enough so you can actually still capture your margins where they actually do good work.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name's Julian. Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investors Group. We are talking with Josh today. Josh is a 24-year-old real estate investor who owns a $15 million portfolio, and he does about 50 flips a year. And he also sells about 200 homes a year. Josh, thank you for coming on. How you doing?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for having me on, Julian.
Thank you, Josh. I know that not a lot of young people have this success, and so we're just kind of dive in deep and see what it is about you, how you got started, and how other people can do it too, so that they can follow in your footsteps and build a portfolio that size and just be successful out of the gate. I think when you started, you sold 125 homes the first year. Is that right?
Yeah. In real estate, that's the first year. But really, I've been doing like business entrepreneur stuff for, 10 years between mowing lawns, making duct tape wallets, selling shoes, did like a little software development thing. And yeah, it's kind of been years in the making, but I applied all of the things that I learned in the work ethic to real estate and it kind of blew up pretty quickly. So,
That's awesome. That's
but yeah.
amazing, man. I did see that you were a sneakerhead, in one of your past lives. I also was a sneakerhead when I was young, and loved collecting sneakers and making money off of them. So, I mean, what kind of breed are you? I guess like what started all these entrepreneurship at a young age for you?
Yeah, I was a big basketball player. I played year round, a bunch of teams, and some of these kids had really cool shoes, and at the time I couldn't afford them, and
Hmm.
I wanted to figure out how to do it. So I was like, maybe I could flip some of them because I knew that they would be worth more than what they were actually selling for at the store. So I kind of started out looking for ways to purchase them at retail price, and I was able to learn the skills of networking, being quick, understanding how to acquire things, finding deals. It was the same concept, just with shoes instead of houses.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's great. I love how you've compared them both and they're similar because a lot of people don't have that comparison. And so tell us about your first year in real estate. What was it that you did, from the get go that got you to be able to be, I guess, one of the one percenters in the real estate world, selling so many homes.
Yeah, so I was a junior at Ohio State. This was September 2021 when I really
Hmm.
started to cold call heavily. And I walked into the office of all these guys that owned real estate and they were also realtors helping investors, and my mind was blown. I was studying to be a software engineer. I knew I'd make probably 100K, or I'd have a good salary if I could figure out a way to get the degree and get a job.
Yeah.
But some of these guys owned multiple houses at the age of 23, 24, 25, 28. I was like, I'm not going to be able to get there with the path that I'm taking. It's going to take forever. So what are they doing? And they help show me the fundamentals of finding deals, which it's not that hard. It's just a lot of time and consistency. So they gave me a list of owners in an area that I was actually living in. I was calling all of the duplex owners to see who would be willing to sell. I was doing that anywhere from 20 to 50 hours a week because I was juggling a job and doing school. So it kind of
Hmm.
just varied on the week. But I found a couple deals, gave them to the realtor working above me. When I say I found a couple deals, I mean the owner was willing to sell at a reasonable price and gave me the information and was motivated. So I took all the information, gave it to the realtor above me, who then found one of his investors who wanted to buy it. They bought the house. I made a marketing fee and it just kind of went from there. Then I eventually got my license at the beginning of 2022 and was off to the races.
Gotcha. So in 2021, you had already gotten yourself in the environment. You were already working with all these investors and real estate agents with, years of experience. And that's how you learn the ropes, right? You learned what to do, what's the right thing to do. And then in 2022, when you got your license, you had already the knowledge of how to do everything in order to start becoming, a real estate agent that sells their. his own properties.
Yeah, yeah. I was spending a bunch of time cold calling. I was calling, investors that own hundreds of units or over 1,000. I met some of these guys. They tend to be more successful than their friends and their family,
Yeah.
and no one really cares what they're doing to the degree that they would want someone to care. And if
Hmm.
you're young, you don't have to be, but if you're enthusiastic about what they're doing and you're genuinely interested and you want to learn, maybe you can figure out ways to provide them value. Like they're going to pour energy into you. I was able to meet some really cool people literally just from picking up the phone and calling and being like, hey, I see you own this property. I was able to figure out that you own some more. I'm sure there's way more that I haven't been able to go through your corporate structure, but how did you get to all this? Like, trying to figure this out. Like, not everyone's willing to help you, but a lot more than you think. So
Yeah.
that's really where a lot of the knowledge came in, and the consistency of calling. And then I was always posting on Bigger Pockets as I was learning, and I was able to find some buyers that way. And I was able to learn a bunch on there too, because there's years of forum posts on there that you can read. And I'm sure there's other websites similar to it as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's really incredible. So tell us a little bit about what your experience has been cold calling. When you're cold calling these investors, whether you're gonna whether you want to buy from them or whether you want to list your properties or something, what kind of are the key takeaways, key experiences that you would say that are you know make you successful rather than others?
So most realtors that cold call want to list their home that day.
Hmm.
So I'm actually going to approach it a different way. Hey, do you have a price that you take for the house? I'm not here to list your house, but I do have investors. I have some buyers, and they're looking for homes in the area. If you just give me your price, the rents, capex information, etc., I'll see if I can bring you something within reason of that number or the price that you want. And there's way less friction there. There's way less. You're not requiring a very much commitment from the person on the other side of the phone because you're not asking them to really sign anything yet. Maybe get their email so you can actually send them the offer. But it's really starting from that point. So I would pretty much call everybody in an area that owned the house for at least 2 years, or maybe they had at least 30% equity of the average market value. So if the duplex would sell for 200K on average, I would want to call everyone that paid 140 or less for the home. This way, if they sold it, they'd actually make money versus trying to sell someone who just paid 190, where they wouldn't make anything after all the fees and everything. So yeah, I mean, controlling some of the variables, but really it's about volume, and you get good at it as you do it. I think it really takes like 3 months of consistent calling to really get the pipeline filled, because it's all about filling the pipeline with people that you've had good conversations with. If you had 100 really good conversations with people, maybe 5 of them will sell in the next 3 months, right? Great, you made money there.
Yeah.
But the next 15 will probably sell in the next 6 months or year, and then another 15 after that. And then if you do a good job and actually sell their house to someone, those people know other people, or they probably have other properties that they worked with you with. So it just turns into this like funnel that almost runs itself in many ways. You have to be good at your job and you have to have actual buyers, but you can actually find buyers from calling too. If you call like investors that buy things recently, maybe they bought it in their name at a super low price. You notice that they refinanced it and threw it to an LLC. It's like this guy probably did the Burr method, and I'm sure he's looking for more. And you can go find him other stuff by calling the other owners. Like there's so many. It's all about connecting the dots. Cold calling can allow you to connect so many dots that just weren't there before.
Yeah, that's incredible. Um, yeah, that's wonderful. I want to talk a little bit about the process. So, for example, you get an owner on the phone. Obviously, you don't try to sell their home right away. You build a relationship. What kind of systems in place do you have in order to be able to follow up with all these different investors and or sellers that you have in order to get the listing or get them to do a deal through you so that you can get paid?
Yeah, I pretty much categorize them into hot seller, medium, or cold, and I have action plans set up associated with those stages. You can use pretty much any CRM. I use Follow Up Boss, but I'm sure there's a bunch of others that are good as well.
Hmm.
And I'll just show you when to text, and you can set up text templates. I really think it's about getting on the phone though. So
Hmm.
a lot of my time up until recently was really spent on the phone with hot sellers, because that's like where you actually make money. There's
Yeah.
so many, you can fill your day and be really busy,
Mm,
but you actually have to fill your day with things that convert. So like spending time with hot sellers, hot buyers, like reviewing inspection reports, like things like that. If you can correlate your day to those things as a realtor or an investor or both, you're going to be so much more efficient.
yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. So let's do a little bit of a breakdown. So you got a $15 million portfolio, and you have, 200 plus properties that you're going to be purchasing this year. Like, how much are you bringing in a month? Just so the people understand, like, what kind of income you have based on your efforts,
For,
so they can pay
for
attention.
sure. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's right around $15 million. It's like 160, 170 units. I am the owner of
Yeah.
like 110 of them. And then the other ones are like 50-50 partnerships or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. And basically I did the Burr method on almost all of them. So I haven't really cash flowed at all because everything was vacant and not
Yeah.
rented for months. Now I'm
Yeah.
starting to actually cash flow, but I invest mostly in Cleveland, Ohio, a little bit in Columbus, Ohio. And on average, once everything's rented out and stabilized, pulling in decent rents, it probably pulls in like $150 a door per month in like true cash flow after all the expenses. So yeah.
Cool. So
And
100.
I'm trying to buy 100 properties this year, not 200. That will be next year if I can do
Right.
that.
Right. Cool. Cool. So you'll be above 200 this year total.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, that's probably 150 times 100. What is that? 150,000 a month or 15,000 a month? What is that?
Let me pull the calculator. That's tough. Uh, 22,000 a month. But
22,000.
again, it's like cash flow is good and it's great, but it's really not even about that.
Hmm.
It's really about the depreciation, the appreciation,
Yeah.
and the debt pay down. That is where all the wealth is created,
Yeah.
right? That's where you can stack units and everything. Every time you buy, you can pay less tax or no tax on any of your other active income.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. So let me just, ask you a little bit about, you became very successful at listing homes, or doing deals with sellers, right? But then you went on and did fix, burrs, right? Fix and flip, all this stuff. How'd you get the knowledge to do that so that you could, do this kind of stuff? Because there's different types of pockets of real estate investing. And, obviously with you scaling so fast, you have to have some really good, mentors, or you got to be really good, just really smart about it. Um, because I think the audience would like to know that.
For sure. I read like the Burr book by David Green. I read probably a lot of the top real estate books that are out there to kind of build a base. I was analyzing deals all the time for my clients, so I kind of understood sales comparables, rent comparables, started to understand scopes of work a little bit, but I kind of just jumped head right into it. I didn't really have anybody doing burrs on my side that I was learning from. So I learned a lot of hard lessons very expensively. So yeah, I mean the first year I lost at least $250,000 from two contractors stealing from me, taking fake pictures, doing bad work, all that stuff
Oh
because I
my.
was doing it all remote. So I was living in Columbus, burring in Cleveland. I'm from Cleveland. I moved back here now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of had to learn systems in place regarding project management, scopes of work, what you're actually going to do, what you don't need to do, all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds like a lot to work through. And yeah, I mean, obviously contractors can be really good or either really bad. That's incredible. So let's say that you were to do this again, like, what kind of things would you set in place in order to not have to have a $250,000, mistake or mess ups that you could then, kind of ride through smoothly?
correct. So the one thing
Yeah.
that actually was correct is finding deals. So I did figure that out. So you have to be able to find stuff that's you can conservatively be all in 70, 75%, 80% of the ARV, depending on your back end cash flow. So you can service your debt. But if you first build out a deal pipeline, whether that's you calling, whether that's somebody that you hire to cold call, whether that's a realtor, whoever, doesn't matter. Try to set up a bunch of them. This way you have a lot of opportunities coming your way.
Yeah.
Then the next thing is contractors. That's where I just got destroyed.
Mm,
But characteristics that I would focus on when finding new contractors is they have to actually do good work, right? So if you find someone who does really good work, most of the time they're too expensive. So you got to find somebody that's like priced well enough so you can actually still capture your margins where they actually do good work. So that's number one. Number two is price. Well, I just talked on that.
yeah.
Number three would really be good communication. So you
Mm,
can borrow in state, out of state, wherever. Either way, you need somebody who's talking with you on a daily basis, going through what's happening on the home or projects or however big of a scale that you are, and always figure out a way to push the needle and everything a little bit every day. You don't have to renovate a house in one day, but you can do a little bit of everything every day. That's kind of how I approach it.
mm,
And the last category is time. So you have to get somebody that can actually do a job in a reasonable time frame. Usually hard money, private money notes are 6 months or 3 or 9 months, depending on the project. So you got to get the job done before that's over. And you have to have like a team that's has enough time for you and your house to do that. And finding someone with all those attributes is really hard. And when you actually find someone who has all those attributes, they're probably working with someone else already, because why would the other investor give that person up? So I think a good
mm,
way of getting to a good contracting team is buying a couple buy and hold properties, maybe one or two, or just light work stuff, and test out a few contractors doing $3,000 jobs, $5,000 jobs. See how they do in all those categories, and if they're doing well, give them some more. Talk to them about the future. Hey, I want to buy more. I want to get to the point where I'm the only client that you're working with. So how can we get there? What do you need from me? Because once you get there, that like as soon as I got there, boom, that's when I exploded. Because my team was only working with me. But
mm.
before then, it's kind of like a juggle. It's like you got a little bit of their time, you got a little bit of their energy, but you don't have everything. So you have to build up that leverage, and it takes time, and that's fine. But yeah, hopefully some of that context is helpful.
Yeah, that is an incredible piece of advice that you're giving. Um, that's incredible. So let's talk about how you do lead generation. Is it cold calling the only method that you're going after to find properties, to find
That's the
deals?
core of it. That's the
Hmm.
core of it. The other branches that produce a couple deals a month or whatever are texting agents in my market if they have pocket listings and emailing them and calling them.
Hmm.
Wholesalers, most of them are bad in my market. So there's like a handful that are solid. So I try to deals with them consistently.
Hmm.
And referrals, asking people I've done deals with in the past if they know anyone that's willing to sell.
Hmm.
That's pretty much it. It's just like I would choose one path, get really good at that lead source, and then
Hmm.
stack another one. A lot of people try to do like 10 lead sources at once, and they spend all the money on 10 of them and nothing happens in a month and they want to give up. It's like use your time on the one so you know how to do it correctly, and then you can start outsourcing.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That's incredible. And so for the numbers, the underwriting part of this, how'd you get so good at it? Like, obviously you read some books, but like you practiced it. Guess, can you tell us a little about the numbers, how you got so good at it, and how the numbers are done?
Yeah, it was honestly just reviewing sales comparables on the MLS and paying appraisers to have conversations with me regarding how they value homes in the residential space. Which it's pretty simple. It's like finishes, square footage, beds, baths, garage, layout. It's particular to each market and asset class, but I would focus on those two things, and you'll be able to pick up what it should sell for pretty tightly, quicker than you would think.
Okay.
But it also depends on like how many of those homes there are. So like in my market, there's not a lot of 3 bed, 1 bath duplexes where it's that layout on each side.
Hmm.
So it can be a little tricky to determine exactly what that's worth when it's done based on your scope of work.
Yeah.
But the more you practice, the better you get at it.
Gotcha.
Like
Okay. That,
anything.
that that's incredible. So sales comparables is just looking at the market, seeing what's sold and how it was and everything. But the appraisals, you actually pay the appraisals to talk to you and teach you, about how they appraise these properties so that when you're done doing your rehab, that you can get to that number so that you can, pull out 70 or 75% and be, cash flow positive, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's their job. They find someone who enjoys doing it, and they'll teach you.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's a really good way of learning. Um, and what does it typically run to hire an appraiser? To teach you these things.
I think I paid a guy like $250 to like just review like a bunch of stuff with me. I'm sure you could do it cheaper.
Okay, that's cool. Hey, that's not a lot of money though. That's pretty good. Interesting. And you told us about the contractor just now. You said, always work with, try to build a team with someone who only works with you, so that they have all their individual attention to you, so you can scale and grow. Um, and and that's the way that you would do to allow yourself not to spend, the $250,000, put it down the drain. Um, what
Yeah, you gotta have reliable people that are honest. That's I ran into people that didn't match those
did you
in
do
the
any
beginning.
interviews or anything? Like, do you have any interview questions that you do, or like any ways of finding out?
I
You
mean,
know,
I checked with references in the past, and unfortunately, I put myself in a vulnerable position. I'm not like that I'm taking responsibility for it, but I was 21 or 22, not living there, throwing cash out, wiring money. If that's not an easy person to take advantage of, I don't know what is in the
yeah.
real estate space. So I was starting off on a bad ground. So like now I use cameras, I use one-time use lockbox codes. I have a project manager, a property manager, then another layer of due diligence, all that stuff to like make sure what's supposed to happen is actually happening.
Okay, gotcha. Because it seems like there was miscommunication. Like, they were saying they were doing something, but they weren't actually doing it, and you were getting the things done. And we were just spending more money.
Yeah, it was everything. I mean, it was every bad thing you could think of. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. That sounds good. So, okay, well, you do these projects, and then afterwards you go to a bank. So how do you find your banks? How do you build relationships with them? How do you make sure that they give you the amount of money that you need in order to complete the burr process correctly?
So I've refinanced everything with DSCR products because I'm trying to get the projects done in 6 months or less. So I can't do the year seasoning with conventional.
Hmm.
And I just shopped around a bunch and found someone who was good at their job, quick, and had pretty good rates. And I just keep doing it over and over again.
Keep using them. Okay, cool. Yeah, building a
Yeah.
relationship. That's incredible. Um, yeah, and so tell us a little bit about this follow up boss thing. So this is the primary tool that you use in order to follow up with people, and for both getting deals to keeping in touch with buyers, right? I assume. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, can you tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about that?
Like agents use their phone, like an iPhone, to text. Like I send 100,000 texts a year and over 250,000 emails a year. If I had to do that with my thumbs on my phone, they'd be broken. So, yeah, I would utilize any CRM where you can go on a laptop and a PC, and then once you have some basic systems in place, like look at hiring virtual assistants because they'll change the game. I've had a handful of VAs that are amazing, and yeah, but you got to get good at the process first,
Yeah.
and then you can show someone how to do it. People do it the other way around, and it doesn't go well.
Okay, gotcha. So tell us a little about the virtual assistants. How did you find them? How do you leverage them? And how much do they cost?
You can find them on like Upwork.com. It's similar to like hiring websites that are here in the US, but
Hmm.
yeah, you can pay them $5 to $10 an hour, and the value of the dollar is so much stronger in those countries compared to here that you're actually giving them a pretty good standard of living with that. And you got to find someone who's reputable and maybe ask some of their references how they did. It'll probably take a few rounds before you find somebody good for what you want, but once you do it, like it's well worth it. They'll save you so much time. And like the fundamentals of when I was hiring VAs is I have a big notepad that I write down like everything that I'm doing every day, like every single process, down to like the little things. and there'd be like 100 things on there at the end of each day, and I'd figure out what on here should I be doing that's making me money that I don't have the skill set or salary or team to delegate yet. So I have to do this.
Hmm.
What can I delegate? What can I not do because this isn't making me money or it's less productive than the other things? You just create like categories like that, and then you just move the items around and build the systems to do that. And you'll go from having a handful managing 3 contracts to, oh, I could do 6 now on the same time, or 12 or 20, or I'm at like 50 right now. And it's like the same amount of work when I was doing everything myself when it was like 3. And I'm not really doing anything special. I'm literally just doing what I just said every day for 3 years, every working day. So yeah, like, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's an incredible nugget, I think. So you have a notepad, you write down everything you do throughout the day, like down to the process, right? And then you figure out how to delegate this by figuring out whether you you have the skill set or you have the salary to do it, or whether you just have to do it. And then whatever you can, you give it to your VA, and then they take on this whole task now. And now you have less on your plate, which means that you can do more with whatever is the most important things.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it can be things as simple as I emailed the lender, is the appraisal back yet? And you look at that and you're like, that email doesn't make me money. I can have a VA easily send that. I should never send that ever again for my life because that's not going to give me what I want. I should take that 10 seconds or 20 seconds stacked every day and go call a hot seller instead. That's going to make me a new deal that'll allow me to get a new appraisal. So it's just like those little things just piled up together over time. And yeah, it works.
Okay, that's incredible. So tell us what you are doing now. What are the what are the most important
Yeah, I
things you
mean,
are
I
doing?
fair. So I recently kind of went from the operator and everything to sort of the manager. I'm not quite all
Hmm.
the way there yet. So I still like manage my contractors and my project manager in terms of the renovations and the flips. And then I created an in-house manager company. So I'm still like managing that. So managing my property manager, making sure we're getting rents. On the realtor side, I'm still like sending out the deals. I'm talking to the buyers. What do they want to invest in? What deals do they like? And then in terms of like deal sourcing, I basically don't cold call anymore. I rarely talk to sellers. I have a couple guys on my team that basically took that role over, and they'll find deals that either I'll buy or I'll have my clients buy. And yeah, I'm just managing people at this point.
Mm. Okay, that's incredible. Um, did you just like finally like did you just get that all through just experience, like trial and error, like just figure that out, or did you have someone to like give you the light, like enlighten you, or a course of like, this is how you do things and kind of scale?
I try to take like big things and like make them down to like bite-sized pieces. So I like listening to like Alex Hormozy. He was really helpful. I like Jordan Peterson in terms of like how to think and how to like interact with people in a positive way.
Hmm.
I like books like 48 Laws of Power,
Hmm.
little things like that. And it's just this can all seem it can seem overwhelming, but if you just like, all right, I'm gonna fix this little thing today and I'll be done with it. And then I'll move to this little thing next, and you don't really feel like you're making a lot of progress. But if you look at the last week or the last month of doing that, you're like, wow, I figured out a lot of stuff. And you just keep doing that over and over again to as big of a scale as you want, really. And it's definitely trial and error too. But you don't necessarily have to have somebody directly mentor you to learn. So like there's a couple realtors in Cleveland on the selling home side that I know sell, like them and their team, they sell 200 houses a year or more. And I wanted to do that. It's like, what are they
Yeah.
doing? All right, they're marketing this way. This is how their agents are spending their time. They're just focusing on a handful of markets and a handful of asset classes, and you just go replicate it. Like in real estate, like pretty much everything you're trying to do, someone's done in the past, and someone's doing now, and someone will do in the future. So there's like thousands of examples around you. the issue really is just putting in the work. People are not willing to put in the work. Like I get at my desk at 6 a.m. many days, and you know, I get 3 hours of highly productive work done before most people are even in their office, like every day. And that just compounds over time, and they'll never catch up if you don't stop.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So like that it's the little improvements over time combined with like true work ethic, just boom, it just spirals.
Yeah. That's incredible. And where'd you get that? Like how did you just like become this, successful person at 24? Like what drives you? Like what's your motivation?
That Yeah, so my buddy is a Navy SEAL that I went to high school with, and him and I used to work out in high school and grade school. He'd go pound on my door at 5:30 in the morning and drag me into freezing lakes, and we would do Murphs. And oh my gosh, this kid would try to kill me. But
Wow.
I learned like really hard work physically and mentally from that. And I think it's good to set like a baseline, because some weeks right now, like I'll have a break-ins, posted notices, missing rent, terminations, a lot of bad stuff happening, and I could just sit here and get stressed. But I'm like, none of this is as hard as what I know I did then, and I still do stuff like that all the time now. So like if you set like a really difficult baseline, I think the rest of your life seems easier,
Mm.
because nothing is as hard as that. Now you gotta maintain. You can't do something once and then never do anything again. But you know,
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
kind of that's like a big, yeah, that was impactful for me.
Yeah. So you have a friend that's in the Navy SEALs. Like he must be an older friend, right? Like
No, he's my age.
he's your
Yeah.
age. So he was in when you were in like in college, he was a Navy SEAL, and then he would drag you out, right? Is that
No, this was like when he was trained to become one.
well?
So
How long has this been?
he became one. I mean, I don't want to reveal too much information, but
Right.
he became one in the last few years, and we basically worked out together all of the time before that. Because that's something I really wanted to do as well, and that's kind of what I
Oh,
was training for. But just different things in my life changed, and I decided to go a different path. But yeah,
yeah. Okay. Cool. Nice. So you had this really good influence in your life from someone that was very disciplined and hard work ethic, like a Navy SEAL, and that kind of created a very good baseline, a very hard baseline for you. That everything that you do now just seems easy and like you're kind of, I guess, pleasurable. You have pleasure in doing it because it's not as hard as what you did before.
yeah, it's like Jocko is talking about, like if you make your life, if you do the hard stuff, everything else is easier. So like I really like that concept, which is like don't let the hard stuff come to you, create the hard stuff. So when the other stuff comes, it doesn't feel as bad.
Yeah, yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, that's powerful. And where do you want to go from here? I know I saw something in your LinkedIn that you wanted to develop, affordable housing and market rate apartments. I'm thinking, I'm guessing that's somewhere in your vision. Like, what do you
Oh yeah,
where are
hundred
you going?
percent. So I bought some land, and I'm working with some Amish builders to build some homes in some of the areas that are really distressed in Cleveland. And once I got a couple down, I want to do like a ton of them and basically run it all in a charity and do some different things like that. But yeah,
That's cool. That's cool. So that's yet another thing that you're getting into, like building, and development. And how are you going to do that? How are you going to learn all that stuff to do that?
probably trial and error. It's fun that way, because then you get to learn firsthand.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's great. I saw that you went to Miami University. How was that? Like, I guess why'd you stick in your market in Cleveland, in Ohio, or rather
Well,
than?
I went to three colleges in 3 years. So I went to Miami
Oh, okay,
once, then I came home to community college, and then I went to Ohio State 1 year and then dropped out.
okay.
So yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I guess that's just what you did. That's incredible.
Did you go there?
I mean, I'm in Miami, you know, so
Oh, okay.
I'm from Miami. I was raised here, so that's I was like, cool. Like,
Wait, no, I went to Miami, Ohio.
oh, Miami, Ohio.
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't think. Yeah,
Oh no, no, I don't.
it's like in the middle of like nothing. It's like farmlands, and then there's a school. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I didn't go to Miami University. No.
Okay, yeah. At first, I just saw the name. I was like, oh, it must be in Miami.
Oh yeah. No, that's fair.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, that's incredible. So, tell us a little bit about how you deal with your buyers. Obviously, you call a lot of them, and whether you're doing being a real estate agent or being a wholesaler, you have to talk to buyers and all that stuff. So, how do you talk to your buyers? Like, how do you develop that relationship, and how do you eventually make money from them in the relationships?
So fundamentally, I try to bring them more value than anyone else ever will. So I give them a bunch of deals right away. I give them a lot of articles, recorded videos, FAQs, create a neighborhood map, bunch of other stuff, and like a Google Drive and other things before I even talk to them. Send it all to them if it's like a paid lead or anything like that,
Yeah.
or a reference or things like that. And then when I talk to them, right, I built that credibility immediately. Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then I'm like, I sent you information about me if you want to learn, but I really want to know what you want to do. So I immediately right away focus on figuring out what their goals are. If they already have a buy box, they'll tell me. But usually I have to adjust it to make it realistic to the market and realistic to what their goals are. And then I
Hmm.
just send them properties that match that. So a lot of realtors just set buyers up on a search and they get 20 homes in the MLS every day and they never look. And they're just stuck there. And they just call buyers randomly. Hey, did you see that property? And they're like, oh, maybe. I don't know. So I try to send them like 1 to 2, maybe 3 deals a day that like really match what they want, and just check in with them. Hey, is this what you want? Does something change? And it's pretty effective because you're reducing the noise, the amount of output that they're receiving from you, and it's really targeted. So it feels custom for them, which it is.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, yeah, I understand why that's much better. You actually giving them what they want instead of having them look through what you have or what's available for what they want. So obviously they're gonna take you more seriously and actually look at your emails and pick up your calls and all that. And I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, a little bit more about the things that you do for buyers. Go a little bit deeper into that because there's a couple things that you outlined there. Like, why are those things important for buyers?
Here's something you can do if you're starting out working with buyers, you're newer to it, or you want to improve it. Every time they ask you a question about a property, write it down categorically. Oh, they want sales comparables. They want information on the area, whatever the case may be. And stack those questions together that come up frequently and have all of those questions answered in your initial marketing material for the property right away. So this way, it's like, hey, I gave you everything you need. You want to jump on it? So that's something that I do too. Is pretty much all the questions are answered in the email I send them. And I have an offer link at the bottom of my email. It's a Google form that the buyers fill out. And then my team preps the offer, I review it, and then I send it to them to sign. And it's pretty frequent. I send an email. We don't even talk about the home at all. They fill out the Google form. I check my email 2 hours later after the offer's prepped. I send it to them. They sign. Sometimes people are in contract. We've never talked about the home. Sometimes I've sold homes. We've never even talked about the home because you figure out every point where they want your attention over the phone, and you figure out what you could do to prepare for that situation that's going to come up a bunch, and you don't have to deal with it anymore. And it's not because you're ignoring the buyer. You're just making it more efficient. You're becoming more prepared, and you're actually being more effective for them because they're probably not full-time investors. They probably have kids and a family. They got other stuff in their life. They don't want to sit on a phone call for 5 minutes asking about comps. If it could be in front of them, they can just check real quick. Boom.
Yeah, yeah, that's an incredible advice right there. So just and that goes for all your investors, right? Like all the buyers that you talk to, you write down all the questions that they all ask, so that you include all of the questions in your flyers when you're sending them out, so that all of them know, right? Or is it specific to
Yeah, it's
buyers?
everybody. It's everybody. Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've developed different, deeper relationships with some investors, so things are a little bit differently there. But the bulk of the strategy is that.
Okay, okay, gotcha. Um, incredible. So, um, what point should someone outsource some things? Like, when did you start outsourcing things in your life? You know, in your business, your real estate business.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, you get to value your time for the most part because you
Hmm.
can figure out how much money you're making and how much time have you spent, and you just divide it, and that's your hourly income.
Hmm.
And whenever you can delegate something that's going to cost less than that, that you can now use that time to make more of it, do it. So, if you're averaging $30 an hour, anything you can pay a VA $8 an hour to do it. Because now you can use that time to go make your $30 an hour doing the things that are more effective. And if basic math and principles of like percentages, if you keep doing that, your time becomes more valuable because you're just removing the things at the bottom. You're removing all the low quality tasks, and then you're spending all your time at the stuff, and then you start to realize, oh, this is what I'm doing right now is making me the most money. I should figure out how to spend all of my time doing this and give everything else to other people.
Yeah.
And there's like a weird thing that happens where as it's hard to do, and it's hard for me when I started because I was like, oh, the biggest fallacy is like no one's gonna do it as good as me, right? Like your ego kicks in. You're like, oh, I'm the best at sending these emails. It's like, dude, like someone else can do it. You're not that special. So like that's one thing you got to get through. And another thing you got to get through is like maybe it's like 10, it's like a set of 10 that you used to do and you gave it to someone else. Maybe you would convert all 10, but the person that you hire would only convert 8 of the 10 now. So you lost 20%. Or you lost 10% if it's 9, whatever. But that time that you saved, you're going to go create more value that far outweighs that 10 to 20% that you lose. So here's a real world example of that. I don't do showings as a realtor ever. I've showed less than 10 houses. I've sold almost 500 homes, right? And there's a lot of people I lose that I get on a call and they're like, "Oh, you don't show it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I have people on my team that will." Like, I want to bring you value by bringing you deals and educating you on the market and giving you resources to help you go through. Most people are like, "Yeah, that makes sense." And, there's a certain set of people that are like, I want my realtor to do my showings or FaceTime me the home. So I lose all those people. Maybe I lose, I don't know, 100K a year of income from those people. But you know how much time I save from not driving around doing that? Hours that will end up turning into way more than that money that I lost. So like it's good and it stings. It's like it's good and it stings. It's good and it stings. But you want the good to always be thicker than the sting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you might not always see it right away. So you got to kind of take some chances, but that's why you want to be really good at the thing before you delegate it. Because then you can have the person you're giving it to convert 9 out of the 10 versus 4 out of the 10.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. It makes sense. Um, so I totally understand the concept. What was some of the things that you did first, to delegate with other people, to outsource?
Yeah. So showings, number
Hmm.
one. I mean, it's been a while. You got to give me a second. What was the next thing that I did? But putting the marketing materials together. So pulling sales comparables, rent comparables. I wrote up information on every zip code in every area of the different neighborhoods in my market. So that's like a different form of delegation. So like now it's like making YouTube videos. Like this interview, you don't have to talk to me ever again, and this is gonna be on your channel as long as you want it to be on there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's another thing. And I'm trying to think what else I did. I don't know. Those are some of the fundamentals.
Cool. So yeah, you definitely outsource showings, you outsource marketing materials, and you outsource some like videos, I guess. Right? You mentioned earlier that when you send your buyers some things that you do, you send them videos or loons or something that have answers to some of their questions, right? I guess.
Yeah, like what is the average rent of a 2 bed in the area? A 3 bed? What do single families tend to sell for? I made a big list of stuff like that and just made videos or documents and talked about that. That way I don't have to talk about it again. That's
Nice,
another form of
nice.
delegation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's incredible. So what you do then is that when you talk to the buyers or whoever, you point them to the resources, right? You tell them, hey, that's listed in my list of answers, right, or FAQs, right?
Yeah. I pull in a bunch of times to make sure that they're actually doing and reading the things that they should be.
That's cool, awesome, and incredible. So I guess what have you done with now, like what do you do with your free time? Do you have like do you like just love work? Do you have like is that your passion? Or do you have other things that you do that kind of keep you busy in terms of like I guess healthy or balanced if that's something that you
Yeah,
value?
my sister's 11, my brother's 10, so I hang out with them. I like playing basketball, hanging out with my friends, pickleball. I like reading, hanging
that,
out, trying to be a kid.
that's a big deal,
So
yeah.
yeah,
What are you reading nowadays?
uh, like stuff related to real estate, finance, um, philosophy, religion,
Hmm.
just ways to kind of engage my brain.
Cool. Yeah, and what are some of so you told me that you wanted to build some properties. Do you have a goal like or like a vision that you want to get to that's maybe 5, 10, 20 years out or something like that that you're aspire to be or or you're just like going day by day?
I'm just I'm just like focused on the system, so I just kind of want to keep making them better and grow and be more efficient. Like I had a goal of helping 5 people make $100,000 this year,
Hmm.
so like I hit that. Next year, I want to have those people make 250 if I can do it,
Hmm.
um, and different things like that that kind of keep me excited and going. So
Oh,
I don't
that's
really
cool.
have like a unit count requirement or anything like that. It's just like try to enjoy the process as much as you can, help as many people, and
Yeah.
help my city that needs help.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about some of the people that you've helped. Like, how have you helped them, and what does that look like for them?
Yeah, so like my project manager, his life's way better, along with my life since we started doing this.
Right.
Property manager's doing a lot better. The people on my team that call and find deals, they're making more money than they've ever had in their life. Uh, some investors, one guy helped flip 12 homes last year, did solid on that. And yeah, those are the ones I can think of right now, but there's more.
Nice, nice. That's incredible. Um, you have any kind of like charity, like any things that you do that you are like looking forward to giving back? I mean, besides like trying to help your community, in Cleveland or Columbus, do you involve yourself in any of that or plan to in the future?
Yeah, I'm definitely involved in some right now, but my main focus is really like the building of the homes in the affordable areas. Like basically having it all run through a charity and having any excess profit or whatever help improve the area, a park, a school, or whatever. Like just have the thing like run itself. So that's like my main focus next year. So I started building out the infrastructure of that right now.
Nice, nice. That's incredible. That's wonderful. And we obviously I saw you in the bigger pockets, but you don't seem to be making any content. I guess is that I'm sure that's intentional. Or do you plan to be making any content, kind of like sharing people your journey?
Yeah, I plan to in the future. Like if you're wanting to improve in your investing or realtor side, like you can reach out to me. I've helped people remote all the time. I got people to help with in Slovakia and Europe and things like that. I really like one on one a lot. I'm not like big on like selling courses or anything like that. I'd
Hmm.
rather like just get as close to your process and you as much as I can and help. And I'm not like charging people any money. I'm just like I learn by helping you, and I get helped in weird ways. Like somebody that I helped referred me to an NFL player I sold him my house. Like, so like that's like how the world works. So I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, that was cool.
that's incredible. So you like to give back. That's incredible. Uh, and I saw on your Instagram you have like a Porsche or something. Do you also indulge in some of these, I guess luxury items or
Yeah, I like cars. Yeah, I got two fun cars, and hopefully I'll buy a primary house end of this year, next year. We'll see.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I think we had a pretty good run here. Is there anything that you would like to talk to the audience that some part that you think we haven't talked about that you think it's important for them to know?
Hmm. The fundamentals of it is Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just look at someone doing something that you want to do and just try to repeat it and ask them for help, and they'll probably help. Like, I like the other rule of don't take advice from people that you don't want to be like. I love that. It's like I only really want to talk to people that I want to be like, and it doesn't matter. It's not just money. It's anything. It's spiritual. It's familial. It's relational. It's like if this is what you want, they figured out how to get there, so they know how you can get there to some degree, and you can kind of fill in the holes yourself or with other people. So yeah, and like the competition is pretty low overall. At least like where I live, and in general, in like my generation, there's like a handful of people at the top that are going to get all the results because everyone else is like on TikTok scrolling and not doing anything. So it's like, yeah, you can get you can get up there if you want, man, or whoever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Um, one thing before we go, you obviously have asked a lot of help from people. What is it that you do? How do you go about doing that so they actually get the help for someone out there, that's interested in doing the same?
Honestly, like I don't directly ask very much. I kind of just like study what they're doing
Hmm.
and like try stuff. But I also try to bring him value. So like one investor, he owns over 1,000 units in Columbus. He was working on building or buying a $9 million mixed use building, and he needed to find tenants for all these weird units because it was vacant. So I was like, hey, how about I call some different commercial companies in the area and see if they would want to rent there. And I did that for free for a little bit, and I think I found him like one or two vendors. I don't really remember. And he's helped me in unique, cool ways down the road. So like, and don't like ask how you can help. That like,
Hmm.
there's a million people in their DMs like, how can I help? It's like, look and be like, hey, I can do this. Would this be helpful? And like, they don't have to think. They're like, yeah, do that. Or even like do something and then be like, hey, look, here's what I did. What do you think? Like, then you separate yourself from the crowd asking for their attention.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Incredible. All right. Well, Josh, it's been a pleasure interviewing you today. I look forward to seeing more of your success, more of your journey, and I think we all got a lot from it. So thank you. And, you know, where can we find you for the people that are listening?
For sure. Yeah. Bigger Pockets, Josh Janus, and Instagram, Josh Janus. You can DM me or whatever. I'm happy to answer.
Cool. Awesome, Josh. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing more of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Julian. See you.